Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Venus square or opposition Saturn in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy. So what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is if you have Venus square or opposition of Saturn in your natal chart, there may be difficulty in terms of loving and enjoying, which is Venus, your career, which is Saturn. Now let's say if Saturn is in Aquarius as an example, the career may be tied in, as humanitarian, actions, altruism, and may be associated with astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, aviation, meteorology, aviation as some examples. And it may also be where it might be hard in making money, which is Venus, in terms of your livelihood, or you may have to work harder and it may be more of a laborious effort in terms of getting the income that you need. And the thing is, now let's say if you have Saturn in Aries as an example, livelihood may be tied in with the military or speech pathology. It could be combative or volatile sports. It may be associated working with metals, something with physiology, as or maybe some position that involves the head, such as helmet or hat design, as some examples. Now, also I could say that again. Also, there may be trouble in terms of concentrating, which is Saturn, in generating money, which is Venus. Now, if Venus is in Taurus, as an example, one may generate, money. It could be in a position, such as it could be carpet laying, geology, architecture, agriculture, gardening, cultivation, farming, art, or music, as some examples. Now, also, the things that you do in terms of, laborious work, hard labor, which is Saturn, may conflict with your self-worth. It might be where, the position that you're in, you feel is not like really, enhancing, your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, which is Venus. Now, let's say if Saturn is in Capricorn as an example, that hard work and what you're doing, working laboriously at may involve, it could be construction or something with structure in general. It could be architecture, general mundane work, carpentry, information technology, masonry, as some examples. Now, also too, there may be difficulty in terms of valuing, which is Venus, hard labor, as well, which is Saturn. And, going to, let's say, Saturn, was in Gemini as an example, hard labor, may, may be connected, with, could be something with manual dexterity, such as auto refrigeration mechanics, work that strongly involves, the use of the hands in general. It could be some other, communications field, whether it could be reporting or journalism, broadcasting, maybe something that involves short journeys, such as working as a mail carrier. Another thing too is that it may be hard to take things like art, which is connected with Venus, seriously, which is Saturn. Now, the thing is, now let's say, if you have your Venus in Pisces as an example, artistic endeavors, maybe one's connected. It could be abstract art or fictional or fantasy art. Venus in Gemini, maybe animated, cartoon, type of art. Venus in Aquarius can be, innovative, ingenious, and it could be art that is unorthodox or one that's futuristic. As some examples, science fiction art, Now, another thing is that the relationships, which is Venus, with older people, the father, authority figures, which is Saturn, may not be good. And the thing is, let's say, for example, if Saturn is in the zodiac sign Cancer, authority, these people, older people, the father, authority figures, one or more, may actually be a Cancer sun, moon, or ascendant, or simply embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be those, that are moody, temperamental, caring, devoted, dedicated, nurturing, protective, introverted, sympathetic, as some examples. And I have Venus square my Saturn in my natal chart, and I've had situations with authority figures that could be really contentious, to say the least. And I've had some that would act in a real just completely unprofessional manner toward me, to say the absolute least. And, just this is not a good aspect in terms of this, that kind of situation. So it may be hard, a little more effort to work at having peace, with the authority figures. Now, the thing about these aspects too is that it might be difficulty having the peace and tranquility, which is Venus, at the place of business, at the career, which is Saturn. If the thing about this is, let's say, if Saturn, is in Leo as an example, the place of business may be tied in with, working with children, or something associated with cardiology, or sports. It might be something with entertainment, acting, as some examples. And the thing too about this is, there may be certain fear and apprehension, which is Saturn, of having love, which is Venus. It could be of just receiving it, or maybe expressing it, whether it's a fear, it's not gonna, it'll be unrequited, or you won't be, the other person won't reciprocate, or there may be some feelings of not deserving, having love, in certain instances. The thing about this is, now let's say if Venus is in Virgo as an example, the people that, relationships and those you may connect with, one or more, may actually be a Virgo sun, moon, or ascendant, or embody the traits of the sign. It could be those that are very, shy, fastidious, people that are meticulous, very punctilious with details, analytical, but could be critical and judgmental as well. And another thing is that if there's any issues, with the neck, the throat, the thyroid, the kidneys, or the lower back, which is Venus, it may be more of a propensity of just conflicting with the career, which is Saturn. I've had issues with my lower back, and it's definitely given me, it's made it harder for me to find, have any kind of, consistent, stable work in my life. Now, let's say, if you have your Saturn in Pisces as an example, that career, that livelihood, maybe tied in with poetry, dancing, photography, something with altruism. It may be anesthesiology or some field, it could be working on, boating on docks, or even something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Now, there may be difficulty too in terms of incorporating the talents and abilities, which is Venus, to that business, that place, that career, which is Saturn. Now, let's say, if Saturn is in Libra, as an example, that career, may be tied in, with working on, negotiation, arbitration, a field associated with the law, or even art, which can include a wide divergence of things, whether it could be drawing, painting, or sculpting, as some examples. Now, Another thing too is that, people that have these aspects may have a tendency to devalue and denigrate. I mean, Saturn is negative energy. They may devalue or denigrate, de-emphasize their own attractiveness, which is Venus. You know, Venus and Gemini may not feel that they're useful enough, in terms of their attractiveness as an example. There may, whatever, a lot of this, of course, depends on, position, Venus as to why, this may, not be, or even Venus and Capricorn may feel that there's something old connected with them, or they just look older. Their age is affecting their attractiveness. It could be that also another way these aspects may manifest or pan out in the chart is that people that have these aspects may frequently not marry due to not feeling worthy of being loved, and I have the Venus square Saturn in my natal chart, and I'm thinking maybe that's what plays a role in this to some degree. And I think it's essential, it's imperative for people that have these aspects to understand that many of them are worthy of it, and it's just something that they just feel that's very negative, but most of them are just as worthy to have a significant other and be loved than anyone else. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.